in Ocala, Florida. It is Wednesday. It is June the 11th. It's hard to believe. June the 11th, 2025.
Big day. It's a big day.
Big day.
I'm wearing green today because today is supposed to be my lucky day in my horoscope. So
it's going to be a lucky day.
Shout out to the Pisces out there. It's a good day.
We got the Starlink fixed too.
The Starlink was fixed. Yeah. All the things have aligned.
All right, let's see. What's that on the right? You can slow
I don't know. What is it on the right, Rob?
Gator.
Hello,
okay, take a picture with your QR, with your phone. I get this wrong every time. Of the QR code. We're live on X. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. 7 channels simultaneously, Monday through Friday, and a lot of shows on this channel. Got a great lineup today. Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart checks in, I believe, over in Marietta, Atlanta. Dudley is out today, sick. Oakley McFerrin, the intern, will be on with us. And Vince Ferrara in Knoxville. Hey, there's a lot to cover. Stuff's happening fast. I've never seen it like this.
Never seen it like this.
In the offseason, it's like made to order for the media. And one of the best is right here. So batter up. And here comes the first pitch. Tony Barnhart, welcome aboard. As always, thank you from our audience, everybody in Memphis. I told him at the Touchdown Club, Cole Kubelik was here Monday night. It's countdown till you show up because it isn't really football season till Tony comes to Memphis and speaks to us. And what's going on and what are your takeaways from Claudia Wilkin, the judge? I'll just get started with that.
Well, first of all, it is a step. It's a good first step, but it's only a step for everybody who thinks that now that this is done and the players are going to get played, everything's going to be great. There's not going to be any issue. No. We're just getting started, and it is going to be fascinating to watch how this thing unfolds. July 1 comes soon, and that's when the players can officially get paid from the money pot, from that $20.5 million, and we'll see how that works out. And so, but guys, we're going to talk about this the rest of the summer. We're going to talk about it during media day. We're going to talk about it. But I told somebody last night, I said, once the games start, we're not going to talk about it. Yeah. Nobody care. No, only reason people care about this is what we have to talk about now. So summertime's here. As Coach Spur used to say, talking season's here.
Talking season.
Yeah, but I will agree with you, Tony, because I can tell you're like I am. You're wired that way. We love the game. And that's what I just wanted to get your quick takeaway on that. But I went to Barnes & Noble bookstore Monday, and look what I found. I mean, I've got Lindy's and Athlon's in my hand, and I don't care what's going on. It's summertime when I'm at the beach, the river, the lake, the house, the office, whatever, and I'm reading these preseason rankings. And Oakley, you've grown up with it. I mean, your dad went to Alabama, you're at Auburn. Tony, isn't that what makes this so much fun? I mean, we've always got, y'all's guy was out of bounds. Y'all cheated on that play. That's what makes it fun.
Well, the great thing is where I live, a little community called Dunwoody in Atlanta. We've got, just going down the street, we've got Georgia, Missouri, Florida, Auburn, Alabama. Okay. And when football, we have a meeting on our cul-de-sac about once a month, and a lot of that is, as you might imagine, is devoted to college football. So that is what makes it fun, no question.
Yeah, and one more before I get Oakley involved. When you talk about NIL and what it means, your brand, Cole Kubelik said every penny he's ever made is because he played football at Auburn. He said he got his first job, 5-minute interview, 45 minutes. The guy wanted to talk about, man, you played at Auburn? You played in the SEC? Mm-hmm. So he pointed out something. He said, you know who's a real bonehead is Isaiah Bond. He transferred to Texas. Remember, he made the catch in the Gravedigger 4th and 31. He goes to Texas. He goes, he could be back here signing Daniel Moore Prince for $10,000 a whack, and stuff. Yep. But he went to Texas, and that is something that I think people need to talk about. That's why after your answer, I want to hear what Oakley says about loyalty.
Well, there's no question that these decisions are now made should be made with a lot more forethought. And think Nick Saban has been talking about this for 10 years. One of the reasons you go to college and play college football is one of the things you want to get an education, but you also want to increase your value, increase your marketability. And, he talks about building onto that sort of thing. So that's I think one of the good things about all of this is that the players now get representation. All right. And not only to help them, but to protect them. And I think it's overall, it's all good, but we're going to work through some interesting times in the next couple of 3 years.
Yeah. Oakley?
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about loyalty, I think a guy like Isaiah Bond could have stayed at Alabama and he'd be a legend in Tuscaloosa forever, and they would always take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
Things of that nature. Like, and that goes for a lot of players. Even if you're decent, a guy like Dylan Cardwell comes to mind for Auburn. I think that's a player the Auburn community will always take care of because he got himself in the community and kind of, became close with everybody in the Auburn family. And I think someone we just saw made a similar mistake to Isaiah Bond we've talked about him the whole summer, is Nico. And I think he would have been a Tennessee legend. He leaves, he'll probably play at UCLA for 1 year, and then he doesn't have a college community base that'll look after him for the next decade.
Yeah. Well, the rest of his life.
One of the things that's going to have to happen in all of this is that the athlete who hopefully now has representation, now you've got to take the long view on these decisions. It's not just, it's not just the next, with Nico, we ended up taking less money, but the point is, don't worry about this NIL deal. Think about where you're going to be 5 years from now. And you're just going to have to, it's not going to be immediate. Okay. In other words, just grabbing for the money immediately. Think about where do I want to be, and for my long-term future, where do I want to be?
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you, you think about fraternities. You don't see people leaving Sigma Nu to go to SA or K. They don't do that. When we started this show, we couldn't have picked better timing. August of 2019, we launched our weekend show March 14th of 2020, Tony, the first weekend of the pandemic. Everybody was going, what are you going to do, Brandon? And my wife goes, I knew you had this under control and we're going to do well. She goes, because you were going, I love this. While everybody else is running for cover, I'm standing, and we're going to double down. And we got you on board. We got Buddy Martin. I mean, I'll never forget the first time Buddy was on with us. He and Brendan were driving from Ocala to Gainesville, and it was just so cool. And that's what a team and a family is done with. And you think about it, your fraternity. You go to the Florida-Georgia game every year, don't you, with 3 or 4 of your college buddies?
With my boys, yep.
There you go. See? And that red and black, man, I mean, that is so powerful. So, I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about it, but it's when I go back to 715 West Magnolia, when we launched this show, my friend Maury Gaston, who watches every day, put it out in a Sigma Nu newsletter to like 1,600 people, and then just boom. That's why you never quit, and you double down, and you never leave. But I love that. All right, this is the list, the top 10 on Lindy's, and I've had Lindy Davis on the show from Birmingham. I think he's been doing this, guys, 45 years. That top 10: Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, Georgia, Miami. Tony, your thoughts on that, and then Oakley, what you think about those teams? What's really changed?
That sounds about right. I've got Texas number 1, Ohio State number 2. I've got Georgia, I think at 6. If I got Georgia at 6. It's going to be an interesting year in the SEC, kind of like it was last year. Last year we had a lot of good teams in the SEC. Didn't have a great team. Georgia was not a great team. Yeah. Texas was not a great team. We didn't. Alabama was certainly not a great team. So I think it'll be kind of that way this year. But now that we've got a 12-team playoff, things are not locked in so much. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And did Lindy have LSU in his top 10?
5.
Yeah.
5. LSU's your dark horse team, fellas. I'm standing next to Brian Kelly at Destin, and he looked at me and said, "This is the best roster we've had." Okay, works for me, Coach. It's the best roster we've had. Well, he's got an NFL quarterback, and what he's got to do is improve a horrific defense, and he feels pretty confident he's done that. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the list exactly, but I think that sounded pretty accurate. I think the biggest question mark is last year we had a lot of good teams with not so great quarterback play, and I think that's a question that I think will be answered this year and kind of determine how good the SEC is quarterback play across the conference.
Sure.
I think there'll be a little bit more confidence going into this year we've got four projected first round guys probably starting at quarterback this year in the SEC. So I think really across the conference, if that improves, then we'll get some elite teams and really make an impact in college football playoff this year. And I agree with LSU. I think they've got an NFL quarterback, they've got elite playmakers, and it's really if they can play average defense.
Yeah. Tony, talking about LSU, it's just Garrett Nussmeier, 4th or 5th year Louisiana kid. Mm-hmm. You talked about NIL for life. There you go, right there.
Yeah, I mean, son of a coach, Doug Nussmeier, who coached at Alabama, coached at Florida, well known coach.
Yeah,
and if you can cement your legacy at a place like an LSU or an Alabama, you think Joe Burrow would have to ever buy another drink ever in the state of Louisiana? That's never going to happen. So that's the kind of when I say take the long view, that's the kind of long view you need to think about when you jump from school to school to school, trying to get the next big NIL deal. This I will make more money this year, but where am I going to be 4 years? And if the NFL doesn't work out for me, where will I be? I'll be much better off if Joe Burrow was not playing football at all, he'd be much better living in the great state of Louisiana than he would at UCLA, regardless of how much he was getting paid.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, you think about a guy like Amp Arnold out of Jessup, Georgia, or Lindsey Scott. Wow. Lindsey Scott to this day. Or, Nate, Eddie Meat Cleaver Weaver. Remember him?
Mm-hmm. Very well.
Think about all these guys. And think about Hugh Nall, played at Georgia, coached at Ole Miss and Auburn, got in the trucking business, I think, in Albany. I mean, you around and Oakley, history. And that's one thing, history, traditions, and heroes. That's the connective tissue of college football. And what you said about Isaiah Bond or Nico, and it's not just for the next decade, it's for life. It is absolutely gives you chills to see a man in his 70s or 80s when people see him, if they remember them from what they did. Stetson Bennett IV, will he ever have to buy a meal in Georgia?
Mm-hmm. I mean, no, not at all. And that's the kind of view you got to take. It's like, where do I want to live when my playing days are over? Be a short career, long career, whatever it is. Where do I want to live when that's over? And to be an icon at a great state university like a Florida or Georgia or LSU, Auburn, Alabama, any place like that is the kind of where you want to be. You want it to, that's your way to capitalize from the time that you spent playing football in college. It's not just the NFL. There are other opportunities that come from that, and hopefully that's one of the things that the young people, the players, will learn is to take the long view on this stuff.
Yeah, and Oakley, Cole Kubelik talked about the offensive line. I asked him about why the plays dropped so much. He put it in 10 seconds. You got guys coming in for a semester through spring practice that take all the number one snaps, and then they leave. So the guys behind them, they're called stolen reps. That's a new term. Oakley's high school quarterback is Marcel Reed, who's at Texas A&M now. Oakley, you played football for as long as you could. You think about that. Even looking at Marcel Reed, look at him. He's from Nashville, but he's at Texas A&M. Most likely, if he stays at A&M, he'll probably live in the state of Texas, where there's 30 million people, and there's a lot of Aggies out there that probably like him.
Yeah, I mean, if he could stay at A&M, he'd be a 3-year starter there. He'd probably be sitting pretty in Aggie land for the rest of his life. But I mean, loyalty just gets you a long way. People respect loyalty. I mean, I think we have 2 examples this year with Garrett Nussmeier waiting his turn, and then people aren't talking about, but Ty Simpson also waited his turn for 3 or 4 years. So, and these are both his dad's a coach as well. They're both coaches' sons, so kind of shows you a little bit, and kind of not just jumping away and leaving right when things get hard, or you may not play your first year or 2. I mean, your time will come if you put in the work every day.
I agree. Tony, Kirby Smart's talking about his team he's got coming up this year. And that was the big theme the other night. Georgia's rugged. I mean, they are relentless. And they got after Texas in Austin, and they got after them at the SEC championship game. And that was my kind of pick of the year last year. I was like, Georgia will dominate Texas. Not that they're not good, but the difference between Kirby Smart and other coaches is, in my opinion, I want to hear what you say first.
Well, first of all, when you come into this conference, it's how many times have we said this, Rob? It's a line of scrimmage league.
Yeah.
It's a line of scrimmage league and a depth league. You've got to be better than the other team with the line of scrimmage, and you've got to have the depth to survive November. If you can do those things, you've got a chance. But Georgia smacked Texas in the mouth, and that's the way that Georgia plays. That's the way Georgia's always played when they're good. Yeah. Which is why I'm anxious to see kind of what they do this year. How about this, guys? Georgia had not had a 1,000-yard rusher since 2019. Okay.
Wow.
That is a problem, because everything flows from the ability to run the ball and play defense. So I'm kind of anxious to see how that's going to pan out. And that you've got to figure out a way to take the pressure off the quarterback. Okay. Gunnar Stockton is a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but the players rally behind him. So how is that going to turn out? If Georgia can't run the ball effectively, then they will still win, but they will struggle.
It used to be you could roll off the tip of your tongue 5 or 6 stud running backs coming back in the SEC. Oakley, this is called putting you on the spot. Who are the top running backs you see coming back in the SEC? Tony makes a great point. Georgia and Auburn are 2 of those running back U's, and you think of Sonny Michel, Nick Chubb, that Walker guy. Give me a couple at least.
You've got Caden Durham from LSU, who's a really talented running back. He was a true freshman last year. Kind of, I think, surprised a lot of LSU fans. You got a transfer from Louisiana Monroe that's at Missouri, Ahmad Hardy. That's his name. He's
Ahmad Hardy, yeah.
Yeah, Auburn played him last year, and I mean he's got some juice to him. Then Jaden Ott transferred from California in the spring to Oklahoma, and I think he's a really special back. I mean, we've kind of gotten to see him. We played Cal 2 years in a row, so I think those would be the top 3. I mean, there's probably missing a few here.
Hey,
that's chime in.
That's better than most people. Tony, I'm impressed. He prepares. All right, got a question for you. No, Tony, when I was a reporter at Channel 3 in Columbus, I'd go down to a lot of towns in the Alabama and Georgia, about a 75-mile radius. I called it Buena Vista, Georgia. Now, I'm getting a lot of criticism from friends of mine. I said, Brown, you're from the South. It's Buena Vista. And Buena Vista. And I'm like, okay. But anyway, Blind Squirrel Sports. I love this guy. He watches every day. He's got a question for you. He's a serious dog fan. How has the loss, it's a great question, how's the loss of Dell McGee factored into Georgia's lack of rushing success?
I don't know. I think the Frazier kid at Georgia is going to be a really, really good player for them. And yeah, you hate to lose a guy like Dell McGee, but there are a lot of good coaches out there. So I think I don't think that's been that big. I think the fact that the offensive line has not been as good as it's been in the past has been the larger issue. They've got Georgia's got to, like most teams, they've got to be able to run the ball when they want to run the ball, particularly in the fourth quarter. And I think that is a bigger question than Dale McGee.
I mean, you look at some of the offensive linemen out of Lithia Springs, Braden Jones. No, was it Broderick Jones? What a stud! Marius Mims out of Blakely, Georgia. The 6'7" giants. They called it the Big Red Wall. But I'm with Cole Kubelik. Guys are coming in and stealing these reps and leave. Okay, here's one. He brought this up. Caden Proctor. I mean, he's projected as a high pick in the draft. He's missed 2 consecutive spring practices. He's found a way to get out of spring practice.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, that's probably why Nick Saban would have probably had white hair by now if he'd have stayed into coaching.
Yeah. I mean, I get all that, and that's one of the things that coaches are going to have to deal with. But we're going back to what we were talking about earlier, talking about the stolen reps, lost reps for the offensive line. That's why the coaches, of all the things we talked about in Destin, Kirby Smart was the guy that got up there and basically was pounding his fist on the table saying, of all the stuff we're going to talk about down here, the transfer portal is the most important thing, because we got guys leaving in January, then they hang around and take up a third of your NIL cap, and then they're gone. And so that is a problem, and that's what the coaches were talking about more than anything, was getting the transfer window down to 1 instead of 2, and that keep your eye on that.
Now the old rule was, I mean, guys have always transferred. I remember when I was at Auburn, there was a guy, they called him White Lightning, Miles Smith out of Roswell, Georgia, great defensive back, was at Auburn, transferred to Georgia, but he had to sit out. If it was within the conference, Oakley, you don't remember this. They didn't have, you don't probably, but you had to sit out 2 years unless your coach signed off, and then it was a 1 year. So guys have always transferred, but I'll say this for Kirby. I heard an Alabama fan talking the other day. He said, I can't pull against him because I feel like he's one of us. We raised him because he was at Alabama for 9 years, got 4 national championship rings. Kirby seems to be a guy, I don't know how old he is, 47, 48, but like he's got the energy of a high school quarterback. And we better be glad he's out there pounding his fist and doing what he's doing, because I got a lot of friends from Tuscaloosa that know him really well. Auburn and Alabama people, they love the guy and his wife and his family. And he's got a degree in finance from the Terry College of Business from Georgia. They don't give those out, do they?
No, they don't. They don't. Well, speaking of Terry College, I'm giving my first speech of the season tonight for the Young Alumni Association of the Terry College of Business. So not tonight, tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to that.
Oakley, one of the things Tony talked about a few weeks ago was when he was addressing a group of young journalists. It was was it maybe South Carolina?
Yes.
And someone said, "What do you do in the off season?" And give that answer to Oakley. This is what separates you from the pack.
Well, I was just asked by a group of students, what do you do during the spring? And I said, I get in my car or get on a plane and I fly to I go to a bunch of schools and sit down with the head coach and players and assistant coach. And there's no games going on. There's no, it's a low key kind of time. And one of the students said, well, why do you do that? I said, well, to build relationships. Yeah. They looked at me like, what are you talking about? What do you mean build relate? What does that mean? I tried to explain to them. As I heard an old guy say one time, he says, look, I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if you're in the stock market business or aluminum siding business. You're in the relationship business, and you make relationships with coaches, because when you call a coach, you want him to call you back. Okay.
Yep.
And if you haven't invested anything in the goodwill bank, guess what? They're not going to call you back. You've got to develop these relationships so that when the crunch time comes, hopefully you can get somebody on the phone or go see them and do stuff like that. It's about the relationships. It always has been.
Yeah, it is. Oakley, as a fan, lifelong, Auburn Pittsburgh. He's a Steelers junkie, by the way. Steelers Nation. Now, did you get the sign in the background? It was hanging down.
Yeah, I had to go buy some of those like hanger things. I haven't hung it up yet. It's sitting over there on my desk.
But let me ask you this about relationships. The guys, you heard what Tony just said. You want to get into broadcasting. You want to do this. How important it is. Let's say you're working with Butch Thompson or whatever you're doing. Everything that you have in life is through relationships, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta build your network and get your foot in the door, and knowing people is what helps you get your foot in the door with everything. I mean, no matter what aspect of life is, like he said, it's you're in the business of relationships, and like they say, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, and that's not fully.
Oops.
I mean, that's true to an extent, but relationships will always be a very significant part of your success, anybody's success.
Well, I'll give you a little story along those lines. When I was working in North Carolina from about 78 to 84, but every time I would come home to see my family, I would make it a point to go by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution sports department, stick my head in the door just to say hello. Wasn't working on anything particular, wasn't applying for a job, but I knew some of the people on the staff, and I'd come take one to lunch and stuff like that. So they knew who I was. And when I got the call in 1984 to come to interview at the AJC, I had already made all these visits and everybody knew who I was and all that. But that's what I'm talking about. Build those relationships so that when you need them, they are there.
Yeah. That right there is one of the wisest bits of advice I've ever heard. And it is. And Tony, I know you got to get going. Talk about what you're doing. I know this is going to be your last year, you said, to be on deadlines and all, but I hope you'll always come on this show for sure and come to speak at touchdown clubs and quarterback clubs, because you have accumulated over your life. And that book, The 19 of Green, is such a powerful testimony to your character, your soul, who you are. But going in, and we'll get you back on if you'll come on in the next couple of weeks. I love having you on as often as we can. But for fans that are getting these magazines, don't you think this is good therapy? If I hear about NIL and the portal, start reading these things, right, man. Get on the hype train, huh?
Well, when I was in Destin, I was on Paul Feinbaum. I said, Paul, could we talk about football? Okay. I've been here 4 days. I've yet to talk to anybody about football. So go get your magazines and hunker down and just enjoy them.
Right. How do they follow you?
Be here before you know it. So
that's right. I mean, we're going to be at Media Days, July 14th. So that is really kind of the kickoff. But bottom line, how do people follow you? Yeah,
Tony, before you go, I wanted to say, since it's talking season here soon, I'd like to maybe we all get together one of these days and talk about what's happening to the culture of our game. I don't know. It just dawned on me the other day. I just said, I'm really sad, when I start seeing the Trevor Etiennes of the world leave and go to Georgia. I'm really sad when I start to see the little things start to go away, and it like those little things start to add up, and I'm like, man, are we going to wake up in 10 years and just be like, it's just another pro league?
Yeah. And I think this something we're all going to have to work on. All have to go through. I think I don't think we're going to be fine. As we talked about many times, the adults try to screw college football up, but it's too good. It's too strong. And is it going to be fun getting to where we're going to end up? Probably not. But I think we'll work. But the irony thing, and Rob, you and I have talked about this a lot. The game on the field, the game that we see every Saturday, is better than it's ever been. There are more good coaches. There are more good players. There are incredible facilities. There's so much going on that's good in college football. We're going to be okay, but it's working through all this is not going to be a whole lot of fun.
It's sort of like passing a kidney stone. It's just it's rough. But I will say this, and Oakley, and I've got 4 kids, 3 Auburn, 1 Alabama. that's what makes this so much fun is when we get together, we're talking about the games. And you know what? It's like, sometimes the cost of everything, but the value of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that I'm seeing here. And I think that you're right. The adults try to screw it up. They're the ones that have let this happen. So
Mhm.
that was a
That's
great
kind of
question,
the
from
fun.
Brendan.
That's kind of the fun of it.
Yeah.
Is the fact that it's all a part of it, in the sense of like adults screwing it up, bagmen's running down the street, chaos, dogs and cats sleeping together, fire and brimstone falling from the sky. That's college football.
Yeah.
Why we love it. Just
Tony,
don't go ruining it and making it all pro, because I don't like pro. So
that's why, Tony, we've got to have you out there. And what Kirby Smart did in Destin, that's great to hear that he was. Let's talk about the stolen reps and these guys taking all the money.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you winning coach like that, fighting, then I have complete confidence it's going to work out. And let people know how they can follow you, because, man, hey, Oakley, start following Tony like today, and also go to his website. You want us to learn how to write, not just throw stuff against the wall and hope it sticks. Here you go, Tony.
Yeah. Well, I will start writing again probably about SEC, around SEC Media Days. The Football Writers Association of America, I'm a proud member for a long, long time, has going to graciously agreed to host what I'm writing. And it's real simple. FWAA, Football Writers Association of America, FWAA.com. And one of the things I'm going to do this year, I announced that this would be my last year, and I'm going to spend the summer and the fall sort of making my sort of last stop at all these places. I've already been to Alabama, spent a nice chunk of time with Coach Saban in his office in Tuscaloosa, and we had a good visit there. And I'm working on some other trips that are going to be a lot of fun. There's just a chance to thank a lot of people who've been very good to me, and looking forward to being back in Memphis, my friends in Memphis, in August.
It's called relationships. Tony, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Okay, take care, guys.
Thank
Okay.
you,
Thank you.
The thing about it, Brendan, that was a great question. And it is what makes it so much fun. And it's cool having Oakley on here, because you're a sophomore in college, a rising sophomore, as they say on the radio. But Tony, Brendan and I have been Brendan grew up in this business, his dad, Buddy. And but you think
when
that
I
it's these
see
relationships.
Tony's like a family member. Right?
Yeah.
I could call Tony in an emergency. He'd help me because of my relationship. But that's how it used to be, though. We used to go carry your dad's, typewriter into the locker room, and you didn't have to have a media credential to get in there and go sit on Doug Moe's desk and watch the Nuggets come in. I mean, it's not normal. It's not normal, but when you see, for me, I get triggered when I see Tony, because he's like, to me, he's like what I looked at as a kid, with him and my dad, like, that was college football. He is Mr. College Football.
Yeah, and he is Mr. College Football. And that's
do you
the thing
see that,
about
Oakley? Do you see that the younger people sort of, carrying that with them as we go, throughout campus? I mean, in Auburn, I'm sure, but you're not seeing a lack of passion or anything like that. I would bet you would not see that at Auburn as much.
Yeah, no, I don't really think you look at anybody like losing the love for the game or passion for college football, at least at an SEC campus. I mean, maybe that's something that could happen at smaller campuses and maybe build its way up kind of to affect college football, but I don't think you're ever going to see that at a school like Auburn or Florida or whatever.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Oakley, this year at Media Days, when we're down there, if they do another AI panel, Brendan got me to go last year. That was fascinating. Okay. Can I say something real quick about Winter Timber Outdoors? Folks, Winter Timber, located in Athens, Alabama, on the top of the state of Alabama, right there between Huntsville and Florence. Okay. They're open every day of the week. All your hunting and fishing needs, outdoors, deer hunting, duck hunting, dove hunting. But you better be working in the off season on your food plots, getting your deer stand, everything ready, keeping the grass just the right level around your favorite spots, your salt licks and all that. Hey, they're building a 13,000 square foot store in Auburn on University Drive. I know Oakley will go there. They got the St. Nick's knives, Sitka gear, the waders, Dixie decoys, duck camp, head to toe, boots, everything. They got it all at Winter Timber Outdoors, and hit that QR code right there with your cellular phone. And end of season sale, 30% off. Don't forget that. Vince Ferrara is in the Roar from Tampa, up on the hill in Knoxville, Tennessee. John David Baddour watching you right now. Love this guy. Grew up in the grocery business up in Covington, Tennessee, Tipton County. Lifelong VFL, Vince. He goes, you know what? My favorite time of the week is around 8:37 a.m. Central every Wednesday when Vince is on. Dudley's out today, sick on injured reserve. He's got the plague, but we'll get him better. But I love the dynamic duo. This is our intern, Oakley McFerrin, Vince, a sophomore, rising sophomore at Auburn. So we're taking notes here. Let's talk some football right now. It's off season. The workouts are underway. The freshman class is in. What are you hearing about Tennessee football? We're in a no NIL and as little as possible portal zone from here on out, if that's possible.
Football? Who's talking football? No, I'm just kidding. It is 365, as you guys know. The interesting thing, we were talking about it this morning, is the wide range of opinions on this Tennessee football team. Bill Bender from the Sporting News did a composite of 11 preseason publications or top 25 rankings and kind of averaging, giving them points and averaging them out and showing you exactly where each of those publications predicted and ranked all these teams in the highest and the lowest. And nobody had a bigger discrepancy in terms of their highest and their lowest than Tennessee. There were 10 teams on the final top 25 that Bill Bender did. 10 of those teams in the top 25 had a low of being not ranked. And no one had a higher peak than Tennessee out of those teams at number 9. So Action Sports, I think, is the one that had Tennessee the highest at number 9. Others, like 3 of them, had Tennessee unranked. So my point is that this is a Tennessee team that a lot of people view very differently. So the storyline has been Joey Aguilar in him coming in from UCLA via App State and how he's going to play and perform. Now, the offseason stuff, you're not able to see the team. We're not able to see the throws and things like that. But, those that have seen him say, hey, this kid is kind of put together, 6'3", 220. So in that range. So the smart thing for him is to get acclimated with his guys and then hope that it pays off on the practice field. But this will be a younger Tennessee team, Rob, that may be more talented, but younger and more unproven going into the year. So how those guys come together when they're surrounded by other guys that are young and unproven yet talented, that's going to be the big question.
Oh,
yeah. When it comes to Tennessee, you've got a lot of new receivers, kind of had to replace 3 or 4 starting receivers last year. What have you heard out of that room and maybe who has stepped up? I know I've heard Mike Matthews throughout the summer and expecting a big year from him. Just wanted to hear a little bit about that from you.
Yeah, and that's Exhibit A, Oakley, a perfect example to what I was talking about in terms of them being more talented but inexperienced. Mike Matthews is the guy that everyone does talk to. He is the former 5-star, only 7 receptions last year, a couple of touchdowns, but he's a guy that has the ability to put it together and be special for Tennessee and be the most productive receiver since Jalen Hyatt. And they really need that. He was like numerous players that flirted with the portal but ended up staying at Tennessee. he is their second most experienced receiver coming back. Chris Brazel, who had transferred from Tulane last year and was a part of the wide receiver rotation, but maybe didn't make the impact that a lot of people expected. But Tennessee wide receivers in their first year typically don't. It's always the second year under Heupel's system that you see it pay off. Will that be the case for Brazel? Will that be the case for Matthews? Another 4-star wide receiver that's the third most experienced guy coming back, and the only other guy coming back is Braylon Staley, who's from the state of South Carolina. But all those guys combined, I think, is 29 catches. Not very much proven. And then they have 4 newcomers, one redshirt freshman, Amari Jefferson, coming over from Alabama. He was a one-time Tennessee baseball commit, big-time baseball player, decided to focus on football, wanted to play for Nick Saban. He didn't get a chance to do that, and then decided, since he's from the Chattanooga area, decided to transfer to Tennessee. And then you have Travis Smith Jr., Rodarius Jackson, Joakim Dotson, who was a guy that just came in the summer, so he'll be behind all those other guys. I mean, that's your wide receiver position, unless you count Boo Carter, who is their starting star DB that did practice some in the spring at wide receiver. He's a guy that is incredible change of direction and speed guy, hoping for yards after contact with him. But how much can they or will they play him on offense if you need him on defense? And do you have the guys to take some of his snaps on defense if you need to use him more on offense with that position being young? So it is a question mark group, but still a talented group, no doubt.
Rob?
Well, you're talking about
Make sure you were there.
the wide receivers. Last year you had Dylan, you had Dylan Sampson last year, and that was such a safety valve for Nico. Talk about the running back room, and something Roman Harper said last week on the show. He's watched a lot of tape of Joey Aguilar, and he wonders about the turnovers. Well, if anybody's good at minimizing turnovers and working with his quarterbacks to be efficient, it's Josh Heupel. In 4 years, because you put this stat out there, his quarterbacks have only had 14 interceptions total. Now, there's some that have 14 in one season.
Yeah, that does not count fumbles, which at times have been the case. Not a massive number.
Vince,
of them.
Did you hear the question?
Yeah. Am I not
Vince.
connecting?
No, you're good. You're good, Vince. Rob is delayed.
Okay,
Go
gotcha.
ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at times there was fumbles at that position, not a massive number. And then another thing is, yes, the interceptions have been low, but at times those quarterbacks have been risk averse. And that was the case with Nico last year, where maybe he didn't take some chances. So you don't turn the ball over, but are you really moving the ball down the field? He didn't throw the ball down the field enough, and when he did, it wasn't at a high percentage. So sometimes those numbers can be a little bit deceiving. I think the big thing and he's right, the turnovers is something that has to get better, but not at the risk of him not taking chances if he in fact ends up being the guy. But to Rob's original question on the running back position, Dylan Sampson, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, over 20 touchdowns, that's hard to replace. I don't know that they have a guy like that, Rob, that can jump and make that jump that Dylan Sampson did. Not that anyone expected him to play to that level, but I think they probably have. It's more by committee. Peyton Lewis is the second-year sophomore running back, was a 4-star, really talented, more of a tougher yardage guy, but a former track guy. So I do think that he's got more to his game than he had the chance to show last year. And then Deshaun Bishop was a record-setting high school running back. He's more the fan favorite because he came to Tennessee as a walk-on and now has earned a scholarship. He had a scholarship set at Coastal Carolina, but after they had a coaching change, decided to walk on at Tennessee and now has earned a scholarship. He's their most productive returning back. And then you have Star Thomas, who is the transfer from Duke He's the one that has the most numbers because he's more experienced coming over. Again, he can give you some tough yards. And then you have two freshmen in DeJuan Morris, the highest rated freshman, and then Justin Baker, another freshman running back in that group. So probably 3-ish will play, 3 to 4, depending on their health. But it's a little bit more by committee this year. And Rob, you're right. They had to rely on running and defense last year when they weren't getting the big time production from the passing game like you thought they would.
Yeah. And Oakley, that's a good question about the receivers. You look at defensive line, it's a line of scrimmage. We hear it over and over, and it's said over and over because it's the solid truth. Rodney Garner has put 46 of his linemen he's coached into the NFL. How deep or is the defensive line deep, the front 7? And it's hard to build depth, I know, with guys coming and going, but as long as you get Coach G out there, the way he coaches, you know you're going to be ready.
It's not as deep in terms of proven guys, Rob, this year because they lost a number of guys to the draft. Omar Norman, Elijah Simmons is in the Arizona Cardinals camp. James Pierce Jr. is part of the defensive line group off the edge. So, it's not as deep. They're going to have to find a top-notch pass rusher or two, and then their rotation. Typically, they play 12 guys on the D line. So now your 7 through 12, they're going to be probably bodies that they'll still play, but they're not going to be as experienced as the 7 through 12, the last set of 3 each on that D line got an opportunity to play and how experienced they were a year ago. So I think their front 4 is really good. Jackson Moy and Bryson Eason on the inside, those guys have played a ton. And Dominic Bailey, who's been experienced, been around forever as your strong side defensive end. And then Joshua Josephs, who actually at times was maybe the more effective edge than even James Pierce Jr. last year. His numbers across the board in impact plays were really impressive, but he was maybe graded out better against the run than against the pass. He's got to be that James Pierce Jr. Guy that really impacts and wrecks offenses off the edge, and then they need to find a second guy. So it's younger. There's still 4 and 5-star talent behind them, but it's just not as proven. But Rodney Garner develops those positions. He gets them better. They added they added Josh Shell from the FCS level into that group, but overall still just not as deep, but still a very good group. One that I think will carry them at times until they get some things sorted out and some health on the back end.
Yeah. Question about
in Oakley. Where do you have Tennessee right now? Last year they get the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee. It comes down to Joey Aguilar.
And okay, there. Hopefully we.
Go ahead, Oakley. Go ahead, Oakley. You're fine. It's Rob's problem. It's okay.
Yeah,
you're good.
All the questions are about Joey Aguilar. You've got, I think you've got a fairly easy schedule for the SEC again this year. So I mean, you've got a lot of winnable games. Joey Aguilar plays how Nico did last year, which really was not that great. Maybe connect on a few more deep balls, then I mean, I think you can make the playoffs if you're Tennessee. But again, if he has the same turnover problems he had last year at App State, then I mean it could get ugly pretty fast. So I think you've got a wide variety there. But I wanted to ask Vince you a question. How important is having Jermod McCoy that can kind of take away the opposing team's receiver one and a potential first-round talent at corner?
He's one of the best cornerbacks in the country, Oakley. And the question with him is, when's he going to be available? Because he tore his ACL in workouts in the offseason. So he says that's gone really well, but we don't know when he's going to be back. Some think it might be, at the beginning of the year. So if we get him back at the beginning of the year, then there's no preseason practice. How long does it take him to get kind of back and running? Others think it's a month into the season. So that's a problem because they're not really deep at cornerback. They did bring in Colton Hood in the portal from Colorado. They were able to hold on to Ricky Gibson, who was a really good corner duo with Jermon McCoy last year. He was another guy that flirted with the portal and decided to stay. But teams I think will pick on that second spot if Jermon McCoy is not there. So they have Jalen McMurray, another experienced guy that can play that position as well. But McCoy, if he's healthy and there from the jump, I think he's massive because Gibson is really good on the other end, and then Boot Carter at your star. So then your frontline guys are good, but the question is when does he come back, and then how effective is he coming off of that knee injury? He's top 3 corner in all of college football. He's that good.
Let's see, Rob. Let's see if Rob's back.
Yeah, and I hope I am. Back. Okay.
Well, give it a shot, Rob.
I don't know what's going on here. But okay. Well, and we really hadn't talked much about baseball, but we'll get into that later in the week. But football. I see in the SEC and in college football everywhere a scramble to develop depth. And, the SEC this year versus the Big Ten, hell, look at baseball. You've got Murray State and Coastal Carolina in the College World Series. Are we seeing a leveling out to where the SEC has been so dominant for so long, not just the Big Ten being a threat, and that's
all right, I think you got the gist of that. I think you got. We can dissect that. Rob gives a lot of information. So Vince, let's play a video. Let's play a game show. Answer that question in 20 words or less.
Yes, there's more parity in college football. It's not to the level of other sports, but there is more parity in college football.
Yeah, I would think so. And how is baseball alive and well in Tennessee these days?
Well, I thought we were going to have, Brandon, I thought we were going to have, a Tennessee burial here with Dudley was on. I thought everyone was just going to pile on.
Everyone's sick. You sound sick too.
No, I'm fine. I don't know what it is, but no, I'm good to go. But I just haven't had my coffee this morning.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, cannoli, coffee.
I need some cannolis delivered to the station. There's no doubt. But no, it was tough. I mean, Arkansas winning both those games of the Super Regional, and Tony Vitello continuing to have struggles against his former school. But for them to do what they did and get to the Super Regional after a national title, that's the best performance for a national title team since 2018 Florida that made it back to the College World Series, as you certainly know.
Did you agree with the decision to pull Liam Doyle that early, even though the bases were loaded with 2 outs? But
I was surprised that he took Liam Doyle out. I know he wasn't as sharp. His misses were significant, but he was still getting swing and miss. I think they were protecting him because Tony Vitello admitted in the postgame that him having to close out that regional on Monday night impacted his effectiveness in that game. So I think it was a little bit of both. He had trust in his right-handers out of the pen. His misses were way off the mark, and he wanted to protect him as well. I still think a less than 100% Liam Doyle gives you your best chance. But if you're thinking about him as a player and his future and don't want to risk that, then that's a different variable. So, I get it from that standpoint, but it certainly didn't pay off for him. But that was tough to see Liam not have his best outing. They needed him to, and even if they win that game, there's no guarantee, obviously, that they win the series. But they needed him. They needed more from him, and then the bullpen wasn't sharp either.
Yeah, guys, look, unbelievable conversation. When I've been here, I don't know what's going on.
I know
You've
you look
been great
perfect.
today, Rob.
You look perfect now, man.
But Brendan did say, "Don't wear stripes again." Just
Well,
messes up with
that's
the
the
buffer.
internet. I don't think it's the internet issue, but I don't know. It's Starlink, man. You gotta call Elon. You
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
call
gonna have to. Elon, get on the phone here right now.
Some gaps in the satellite passover on your house.
So let me say this: in Oakley, great job, Vince, Tony Barnhart, executive producer Brendan Martin.
Vince, where can we find you, by the way?
How do they follow you?
Twitter.
Yeah, Vince Sports, VINCE Sports, and then Sports Source TV, as well as Sports Source Digital Network, 2 YouTube channels where you'll see some of the TV work that I do in town. And by the way, Blind Squirrel Sports, love the hire of Marion Hobby as an analyst. Guy's been in the NFL, college football, national champion with Clemson. To have that guy as an analyst, huge to join that coaching staff with Rodney Garner, Tim Banks, and the rest. So always appreciate everyone's support.
You know where Marion Hobby's from, don't you?
Are you still at the Sports Animal? Am I promoting you correctly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Morning show, 6 to 9 a.m. And I didn't want to give out too many websites and all that stuff, but
dude,
6 to 9.
It's in your rider, man.
It's in your rider.
It's in your rider, bro.
Do the morning show. And
that and blue M&Ms. I know the deal.
There you go.
Hey, Vince, just remember Marion Hobby's from Irondale, Alabama.
Yeah.
Birmingham area. You know, I remember him very well. Hell of a player.
Cannolis for thought.
That's right. Vince, thank you so much. Great job. In Oakley, they follow you. How?
Thanks, Vince. Take it easy.
Appreciate you.
I'm on all platforms, Oakley.McFerrin.
All right, you are the man. Thank you so much.
Yes,
And let me say something real quick about Hewlett and Dunn and Landers. We'll start Landers Ford open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Poplar and Houston Levy, where Memphis and Collierville meet. Brad Bellamy, the general manager out there, they got one job: get you in a car, truck, or SUV, new or pre-owned, and they're great at it. Got a great team out there. Kent Ritchie, Don Kitchens, the whole staff. When you go there, you will notice commitment to the customer experience. They've got the Ford Power Promise, employee pricing. Also, if the vehicle needs some service, they'll pick you up, provide round-trip transportation. Again, open every day except Sunday, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. LandersFordMemphis.com. If you didn't buy your last vehicle from Landers, you did. You probably paid too much. Just the way it is. Ask for Brad Bellamy. $500 off for SEC Sidelines members. Right down the street from our good friends at Hewlett and Dunn, the best collection of boots on the planet, over 7,000 pairs. They got a sale. It's now 75% off. Lots of good-looking winter items. It'll be 90 today in the Mid-South and humid. So 75% off. Stetson, Pendleton, Schaefer, Filson, Barber. Golly, the luggage. Man, you buy you a Filson bag, it'll last 100 years, okay? Great folks out there, open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m., 6 p.m., and live at the Boot Room this Saturday after they close at 6. They'll have a concert in there, the Park Hillbillies. And, man, they are a great band. It's sold out, but I think they're scalping tickets out front.
Oh, I got an inside source on there.
There you go. That's right.
It's called you. You're my inside source.
We got the best producer in the planet, guys. You just have no idea what goes on.
I know. I got my cup. Did I not show you my cup?
And your new SEC wall is on the way. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us.
It's official. You're awesome.
You are. And
do you not see my screen, Robert?
I got you. It's official.
It's on my coffee cup. I'm gonna get a tattoo of it.
There you go. All right. Hey, Mother Teresa said it. We can't all do everything, but we can all do something. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you tonight, the Buddy Martin Show, and AU Undercover at 4 p.m. Central. Thanks. Have a great day.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Ellen.